Hello everyone and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today we're going to be talking about how to improve your PvE grind and make more silver. This is one of the questions that I get asked pretty often, and also it requires updating every now and then because a lot of stuff in the game changes. But also, you know, something that I want to talk about right now simply because we currently have an event going on and where you're getting extra Agris points. So basically people should be grinding at least once every day, or like an hour or two a day, or if not every other day, to make sure this doesn't fill up. And also people, you know, it's December, people are probably going to return to the game when the Calpheon ball drops and to talk about all the cool new stuff. And so I thought it would be a good idea to make this video and update it once again. And yeah, so with that said, I have a list of things that I want to talk about. I made some notes, and yeah, so whether you're grinding or trying to improve your grind, let's talk about this. So first of all, you got to learn your stats. Let's start off with the basics and talk about all this. So no matter where you're at in the game, chances are you're probably going to look for an efficient spot to grind. And so the number you're going to want to look for, you could sort by AP. And let's say this is your number right here. It's a little bit confusing for newer players because when you see this, originally you're going to be like, okay, so these are my stats. Where should I grind, right? So that's good and all, but what you're really going to want to look for is make sure this is sorted by, you know, wherever you want to grind. So no species, and then you find a spot for species. So you go down the list, and wherever you're at, usually pretty good. I'll make a video updated in the future. But what you want to look for is basically these two numbers. So green is good, and red means you are not hitting the cap. That doesn't mean you can't grind there. It just means you're not doing it as efficiently as you can. So with that said, the effective limit, you want to try to be as close to, or if not higher than that number as you can. Green good, red bad, TLDR. So that's what we're going to be talking about, how to get your number higher. Obviously more gear, but there's a lot of easier things to talk about as well. So number one, food buff. So recently, in the past few months, they kind of changed how all the food works, and the PvE one now has extra stats that used to only be on Exquisite. So a general rule, but not exclusively, is simple cron meal is for PvE simply because it has the extra AP against monsters, and everything you can have here, all the stats are generally for PvE. Seafood cron meal is for life skillers, and Exquisite generally more for PvPers. That doesn't mean you can't use Exquisite and, you know, for PvE, but it's just generally better across the board to use simple for PvE grinding. So when in doubt, get this. I know a lot of people who like don't use food and they're just grinding. They just see bigger number better, but this, like, the food actually helps you because you're doing extra back attack, extra criticals, and then you're taking less damage with all this food and stuff on. So it's like, you know, even if your stats are higher, it helps you. So next thing we want to talk about is a villa buff. And that essentially is a tent. We'll talk about that. And let me just show you how it works. So there's a free option and also a paid option. So let me just show you. Can I put a tent here? Of course not. Imagine paying $50 and your tent doesn't work half the time. Okay, so what we're talking about is the Villa Scroll. So these are what we all call Villa buffs because this is the one you want. 99% of the time, people will be using the orange buff, the body enhancement, and then this is just pay more for the amount of time you grind. So if you don't have a tent or you're doing it the free-to-play version, I have a video talking about how you can get it in, you know, without spending real money. But this is what it's like. So you see these things right here. These are all villas. You keep a character there, you pay 10 mil. It used to be only gold bars, but now you can pay in silver. And then you get like a 7-day villa scroll. And then that allows you to essentially buy the buffs over here. but the paid tent allows you to just buy them without it. So ultimately, is it a big deal? Not really. It's just like 10 mil every week, which is basically free. So yeah, the tent is one of those things where I'd recommend most people to get, just because it's actually very useful no matter what you're doing: PvP, PvE, life skilling. So yeah, these are life skill buffs: 10 AP, HP, damage reduction, resistance. All of these are very good. If you are significantly overcapped in everything and you're just going for XP, then skill and experience is always good. But for the most part, I would say for about like 99% of you, body enhancement is the way to go. Next thing I want to talk about is church buffs. So every town has an NPC that you could talk to for church buffs. You can go to find NPC over here, and then silver or church buffs. So the difference compared to the tent, you could do it at the tent too, is it costs a little bit more. So it's essentially these 3 buffs: red, blue, and yellow. This one gives all AP plus 8 and accuracy 8, which is good. This one is all DR plus 8 and 150 HP. And then this one is combat XP. So essentially, you want at least red and blue when you're grinding, essentially. And then this one if you're going for extra. If you're buying it directly from the NPC, the vendor, it's 3 mil. And buying it like convenience is 3.5. So it doesn't really matter, just as long as you have it and it's something that's worth doing. Next thing I want to talk about is the horse buff. So let me show you. So right now we have a night vendor event where you can actually get Krogdalo horse gear. Let me see. I wonder if you can sell. People are selling it. Yeah, there's a lot of people selling this stuff now because there's a night vendor event. So anyway, what you want to do is get a full 5-set effect for either of them. So earth, wind, or sea. Earth is defense, sea is like HP, and the wind one is offense or AP. So for most people, I'd recommend the wind set. Once you get the Krogdalo horse, which is all 3 tier 10s, you get the Krogdalo, and then essentially it's all 3 buffs in one. So, but for everyone else who doesn't have it, wind buff is probably going to be the most effective for most people. So yeah, to get it, here's what I'd recommend. So you need, where is it? Okay, so you need these things right here, the Spirit Stone Fragment. So you know how like earth is for the defense, wind is for offense. And back in the day when I was going for infinite potions, I got a lot of these. The best way you guys can get it, I'd recommend buying it off the market to save you a lot of time. But for everyone else, if you're trying to go for it yourself because they're either sold out on your server, down by Old Wisdom Tree, you know the birds over here? Just go grind there and then go gather, or I think it's Tanning Knife, and you get a lot of those wind fragments, so you can make your set yourself. Once you get the materials yourself, you go invest in this node right here, the Stonetail Horse Ranch, and I believe it is Ranch 3, Horse Gear, and then yeah, so this is where you can make it if you're trying to make it yourself. So essentially, horse buff good. It lasts an hour. It kind of lines up with your other buffs when you're grinding, but we'll talk about that. And something you should get. The next thing we want to talk about is house and furniture. So you guys know how furniture buffs give you like AP. Nowadays, the convenience item is these Blessing of Mystic Beasts. This functions the same thing as the like house buffs that gives plus 15 as well. So few tips that I can give you. One, if you are trying to save money, I've talked about this before, go to decorations and then buy, like, scroll to the yellow ones and then buy this one, because this one gives you the same thing, but you get 10 charges. So you know how this one is 15 AP for 3 hours and it has 10 uses. That's for 200 mil. You get effectively 30 hours of grinding. This one is the same thing, but they are 60 mil each. And then if you multiply that by 30 for the same effect, it's a lot more. So another thing that you could do is also, if you're in a guild, try to do hunting a little bit so you can help like your guild. And then in your storage, you could turn these things that you buy into the guild version, and then that's convenient because if they're in the guild hall, you can go to your guild hall at any given time and basically just use the buff from anywhere, so it saves a lot of silver. That also requires someone to actually do that, and so if you do hunting and turn them into the stuffed heads, then you're good. All right, so with that said, furniture buffs. The only reason people should use these is simply if your guild doesn't do it and doesn't have the furniture, and you're just already out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of like the convenience tax of having the buff. But if you're not super hardcore grinding, just do the furniture buff. If you waste 2 or 3 minutes because you have to use the well to get to your grind spot, that's fine too. It's really not a big deal. Okay, so the next thing is probably one of the more important ones. I see a lot of new players grinding without too many buffs. So people are like, oh, what should I use? And you're probably like, oh, there's a lot of things. It's confusing. And back in the day, we had to use blue elixirs. All of these, yeah, we had to manage these for a while. Nowadays, in 2025 or 2026, all we need is a harmony. These are essentially the all-in-one buffs. So, yeah. So whether you have a fairy that actually uses these on cooldown or not, it's not a big deal. If you don't have a fairy with continuous care, what you do is put these on your hotbar. Let's say drag one over here, and you pop these every 15 minutes. It's that easy. Otherwise, if you have a fairy with continuous care, you don't need 5, by the way. I realistically think continuous care 3 and up is probably good enough for most people. So here's how you do it. Instead of using all of these, here's how you set it up. If you have this one, click your harmony and then right click to turn it on. That's about it. However, this does require 15 slots, so it tells you the usage number over here. For most people, if you don't have the fairy, it's okay. You don't need it. Here's what I'd recommend. Food buff. If you use a perfume, that counts as 1. And then any other stack things that you have that is a 1 hour lineup when you're grinding. So yeah, these are the important things. So if you don't have 25 slots, that's okay. And then you could line it up like that. So, or just take out the buff and press them all manually. It's not a big deal. So yeah, with that said, harmony, these are all basically different species. So wherever you're grinding, get the one for your species. There's Kama Sylvia, Demi-Human, Edonia, and Human damage. Here's how you find them. Go type harmony, and you find them here. That's about it. You just buy the one for the species you were grinding at and use it. So it's actually very good. They give you a lot of very good stats, and especially recovery, which is the most important one. The next thing I want to talk about is, let's see, what is this? Oh yeah, other family buffs that you want to have. So when you're grinding, there's a lot of other buffs that you probably want to run as well. And let's see, what is this? What did I write? Oh yeah, fairy buffs. So Miraculous Cheer 5. This is extremely important. So I know if you're free to play, this is harder to get, but you really do want it. So the reason why you want 5 and not 4 or anything else is because if you look at the continuous or Miraculous Cheer, the skill cooldown goes from 6 seconds all the way down to 2 seconds at 5. And so you're probably like, oh, it's only 1 second, not a big deal. Your health potion lines up at 2 seconds. So you want to be using that on cooldown, especially if you're grinding higher end spots. So you really want 5. That's the reason why everyone tells you to get 5, and that's it. So it's one of those things where it could be very expensive to get, or you get lucky and get it first try, but you at least want to do it. Tip for all you free-to-play players out there trying to get it: if you're re-rolling your fairy, if you don't get a 5, just start over. Don't even finish it. Just reset and then level it up again. It's kind of a pain, but for all of you, this is what you do. Where is it? Buy these things, and then this is how you max out your fairy. Get the skill you want. If it's not 5, reset it. Keep buying them until it's a 5. That's what all you free-to-play players do, and I truly wish you the best on that one because it could be very expensive. So other things that I'd recommend using are other family buffs that we have over here. So family inventory is probably one of the best things you can have. By default, I believe once you unlock it, you only get like 4 to 6 slots in total, and then you buy the rest with pearls. And I think this is actually important. The few things that I would put in here if you are free to play is infinite potions, because you can use them on all your characters. They go in here, and so for every character you play, you don't have to like manually set up this thing, like your potions. You just keep it in your family inventory, reset them, and then set it, and you never have to think about it again. And then for your third slot, I would put loot scrolls in there, because literally everyone uses loot scrolls who grinds. And then honestly, after that, those are really the only 3 that matter. And then everything else is kind of like personal preference. You could have the rest of them in your inventory. But yeah, the most important ones, probably infinite potions, loot scrolls. Yeah, that's about it. Anything else can go in your inventory unless you spend more money on it, but ultimately it's personal preference on what you do. I think the family inventory and weight is more important than like anything else in this game, because just convenience is at an all-time high. So a few more tips I can give you guys for getting more silver and, you know, just improving your grind. You see this thing right here, the item, your loot scroll thingy. See this? If you don't know, you press these buttons, it adds 1 hour to a time. And no matter what, most people will have more loot scrolls than they ever know what to do with. I try to grind a lot more, and I actually do. But number still goes up if you have the value pack. And it's like you have to really grind like 5 hours a day to actually go down to number instead of up most of the time. But I see people grinding with level 1 scrolls, and you should generally try to do level 2 scrolls if you can, just because there's 2 different things. There's item drop rate, and then there's item drop amount. So let me explain what that is to all of you new players out there. Item drop rate is the rarity of the item. So like, let's say you are, let me just show you something as an example. All right, so item drop rate is like the rarity of items. So like higher the number, the more accessories you might get, or the rare items. Item drop amount is the amount of trash loot you get. So like these things, the ones that you just vendor and everything. So rarity is higher. That's why you want to have at least 300% while you're grinding at any time. And yeah, I try to have as close to 300, if not, like there's generally, sometimes there's an event going on, nighttime bonus and other stuff. I have another video talking about all that, how to cap out at 300. But yeah, so level 2 increases the item drop rate and amount. So like you see the first paragraph in the tooltip, right? It tells you rate and amount. So if you have a level 1, the item drop amount is 50, 2 is at 100. So basically level 2 gets you more trash loot an hour. It's worth it, in my opinion. Trust me, I've playing this game for a long time. I've done a lot of testing in spots. So 2, generally worth it. And so that also lines up with all your other buffs from events and everything. You just get these through events and everything. It's December. Chances are, if you're playing during this month, the Calpheon Ball and just like Christmas time in general, they're gonna give you a lot of free stuff. So now is the time to, you know, just start logging in and, you know, log in rewards, get all this stuff, all these things in general. Kind of gives it to you just by playing. And so the last thing we want to talk about, obviously this is probably going to be the most obvious one, is your AP. More gear means you get to try higher end spots, make more silver. And one thing that I'm going to be doing in the future is talking about the different, spots. These are one of those videos I do like maybe 2 or 3 times a year, just because things get updated, grind spots get nerfed, buffed throughout the, year. And so what I like to do is talk about every single spot. That video will be coming soon. It just takes a lot of time to actually make. And so recommendation for all of you guys, sort this by optimal AP, or ascending or descending, doesn't matter. So from lowest to highest AP, whatever this number is right here, the effective limit, try to grind spots around that area for where you're at. And then, try to add, a species number, because this boosts that number a little bit higher. I would say demi-humans is probably going to be the most useful for a majority of players. Comma Sylvian is, I would say it's not bad, especially with Dekia Gyphon coming soon. And then Edania is the endgame spots. Humans, not too many human grind spots, but demi-humans are generally the most used, and same with Comma Sylvian. So these two for like beginners to mid-geared players, and then Edania is endgame stuff. Humans are more for PvP, but there are a few spots that require it. But ultimately, I would say if you're going to invest in something, probably demi-humans is the way to go for a majority of people. So, with that said, this has been a long video. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Just drop in the comments or anything. Join the Discord, and I'm happy to point you guys in the right direction. I know it's it's confusing, especially if you're a new player. You're probably thinking there's like 15 things I have to do before, grinding an hour. Trust me, I know. The all-in-one thing. When this came out, I thought it was a disaster. I still think it is a disaster, because it's like everything that we wanted is not really here. So basically, you just set all this stuff up, and it kind of covers half of it, but the rest of the other half you have to think about, like turning on your alchemy stone and everything. But either way, this helps you with at least half of it. And then after that, it's really just making sure to, making sure all your buffs are up on time and resetting and stuff. So anyway, hope that helped you. If you don't know what to do, still happy to point you guys in the right direction. And if you're new to your channel, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to see you come back. December, we have a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of guides I'm going to be updating, and obviously the Calpheon Ball is coming soon, so that's going to be a hot topic. But until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and yeah, that's it. Peace.